What's up, guys? Appreciate you watching this episode of RSG, man. If you may not know, we have just started our Discord channel, man. If you want to be able to sit down with us, have some conversations, have some banter back and forth, come see us.
We have an active channel where you guys can talk with Justin and I regularly, and we have race predictions.
And occasionally on Sunday, you'll be able to speak to Rod and I personally, and also we'll have guests.
And when we drop any announcements or merch, that'll be the first place you can see it.
And we'll also have some lucky fans be able to ask some questions to our guests. So hit the link in the bio.
Justin Gatlin is the latest in a long line of sprint sensations to emerge from the USA.
Gatlin got a good start. Look at this man coming through now. Gatlin. What a fantastic performance from Gatlin. It's all about Gatlin.
Ultimate goal is to be one of the best sprinters in history.
And what a fantastic performance of Gatlin. And look at the time.
It's the American leading the Jamaican at the moment.
He knows he is the world champion.
Justin Gatlin is the world champion here in London.
What's going on? What's going on, chat? We back, man. RSG in the building. Hey, you know who I'm with. It's my right-hand man. It is Mr. Green himself, the bearded wonder, Rodney. What's going on, man? Are you good?
Man, we chilling, man. We chilling there today, man. We chilling there with a very special guest that we have in the building. We've had him on our show before in person, but we have him on virtual today. Mr. Alexis Ohanian. To our show.
Thank you for having me back, y'all. Very, very happy to be here. I had a blast doing it in person, but you know, this will have to do. But I'm excited to spend some time with y'all again here soon. But very happy to come on.
Next year we'll be in person again. We'll be in person next year for sure.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have multiple meets, right? So this next year will be the official launch of the league format, the team-based league format. So we're not just going to be in New York next year. We're going to have at least one other, maybe two, maybe 10. We won't go that big, not that soon. But we'll have multiple locations. I can tell you, we'll have multiple locations to do this for the Athlos League next year.
So let's jump right in it then. So you're gonna have multiple meets next year as a league, and you're gonna leave New York. What was the reason of going back to New York this time?
Well, okay, and to be clear, we're never leaving New York, right? I'm a Brooklyn boy, made in Fort Greene. Like I'm never. This is always going to be the sort of. This was the day zero. This is where it all started. New York's always going to be a big part of what we build with this league. We knew we needed to grow from last year, right? We had 3 million people tune in for Athlos last year, all over the world. Amazing brand partners, Tiffany, Toyota, many others. Packed house, lots of fun, great vibes. I think you'd agree. It was great energy. And most importantly, these ladies said it was the best meet they'd ever been to. And you know what? They had record prizes, Tiffany crowns. We paid them all within 3 business days. And we said, okay, how do we outdo ourselves next year? And Tara Davis Woodhall, you know, she is a spark plug. And I tried inviting her to the meet. And she told me in very simple words, she was like, look, I'd love to go, but I'm only going to go if I'm competing. And I said, all right, challenge accepted, Tara. Let's figure out how we bring the long jump in. And I was like, you got any ideas? Like, I want this. It needs to be big. It needs to be spectacle. And she was like, how about Times Square? I said, all right, let me see what we can do. And Kayla and Chris on the team here, to their credit, were able to get it worked out with the city of New York. We got a great relationship with the city. And, you know, it was a process, but everyone got it done. And so we're bringing the long jump, best long jumpers in the world, to Times Square Thursday night, as a preview, as a showcase in the center of the media universe for, you know, the main event Friday night under the lights at Icon. And so the best 3 jumpers, those ladies are going to then compete for the crown, for the grand prize there at Icon. And, you know, Tara's going to come correct, but she's got some great competition too. So we'll see. You know, it's going to be a very different environment for them in the middle of Times Square, like a giant spectacle in front of all those tourists and in front of all the New Yorkers who are going to roll up. And so we're excited and we need to push ourselves even more this year. So thanks to a great partner in CashApp, our athletes are actually going to get paid. The applicable athletes, these are more than likely the American citizens, because of banking laws and all that stuff. I mean, it's not just going to pay them in 3 business days. We're actually paying them instantly. As soon as the official ruling comes in about where they place, that money is hitting their bank account thanks to CashApp. And we was like, that's not enough. So there's also, on the chance that someone sets a world record, there's $250,000, again, cash on the line here at this Athlos. But again, we want to keep building. And the number one priority is making sure these athletes are being treated like the superstars they are. And we know they showed up big time last year. We're expecting big things this year.
Listen, you're moving way faster than the world champion Melissa Jefferson would right now. You giving us all the information right now. We appreciate that. You got to backtrack real quick. How are you getting
Sure.
a long jump and sand in Times Square? What does that even look like? That is crazy.
You know what? To the credit of a lot of people much smarter than me and folks very experienced in the building of these sorts of everything from the runway track to the sand pit, all that stuff, like it's getting assembled. And one of the nice things coming from the tech industry is, we default to this mindset of sort of why not, right? We want to ask the question of like, well, how has this been done before? And why can't we do something else a little bit more ambitious? And if we ever hear, oh, well, that's the way it's always been done, it is it's the worst possible answer for me to hear as an entrepreneur, but it's also the best, because it means no one's really asked that question before, and people are comfortable just saying, well, it's the way it's always been done. But when you start to ask why, fun things happen. And in this case, we've always had some great folks in our corner. Mark Whitmore, I got to give him his flowers. He really helped us get introduced to a lot of the sort of 101 of putting on one of these events, and again, making sure these are Diamond League. Or how do you call it? They're World Athletics sanctioned meets. So last year Athlos was silver status. That means all those ladies got points towards their ranking. This year we're actually gold because we added the field event. And so we've had great partners in World Athletics. And again, yes, we make this a spectacle. Yes, we make this, we've got A-list celebrities in the crowd. We've got A-list talent performing. We also have A-list athletes who are competing in a very, very real competition. And so they help us, solve interesting problems, like how do we put a sand pit in the middle of Times Square, and how do we build that runway? How do we make it all, performance grade, totally professional, totally sanctioned, above board, and also in a place it's never been before. And it turns out, this stuff, I don't want to say it's not hard. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but for a lot of these folks, they rise to the occasion because they're like, wow, I've never been asked to do something like this. This is so exciting. I can't wait to prove that it's possible. I can't wait to do it. And so I think it's been really fun seeing folks rally around it. And look, we still got to pull it off. I'm not doing any victory lap right now, but our site is set. Things are getting built, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see it Thursday night.
The good thing is that I think that you said, I don't think there's been another sporting event of this magnitude in Times Square. So you're kind of like the trailblazer on that one. So you're the first. They might have more because after this model goes out, now it's going to be like something like, okay, we can have more based on the model that you set out there. But your partnerships and your relationships with all these partners and how you're able to secure funding for what you're doing. Was it better this year securing funding because you had a model that can be seen from last year? And what was that like, trying to attain more sponsors like CashApp and so on?
We were very fortunate. You got to remember, so we announced this with Gabby at the Business of Women's Sports Summit in April of last year. 5 months later, we put on the event. 5 months. And I have to give credit to those day ones and the Tiffany and Co's, the Toyotas, like we they knew a few months in advance that we were going to announce this thing in April, but still, like they turned around very, very quickly to be partners. Yeah. And what we did was we said to them, listen, we're going for reach here. We know, you spend a little bit of time on track Twitter. You see how much people want to be able to watch these competitions and how difficult it is through, the technology that exists and the costs associated with it. Won't name any names, but for such an accessible, global, popular sport, it's very hard to watch the damn thing. So we're just sitting here saying, okay, well, let's make this as accessible as possible. And what is helpful about making it as accessible as possible and having non-exclusive deals with ESPN Plus, DAZN, YouTube, X, is that we can get to 3 million plus viewers for our first ever event. And then if you're talking to brands like a Toyota, like a Tiffany and Co., and like the others who came with us from day one, or day zero, I should say, they love hearing that they're going to have this kind of wide exposure and reach. And so, look, we didn't make any money on broadcast deals for last year because we said we don't want exclusivity. We want reach, because you aren't going to make that much money as a brand new league anyway.
Yeah.
On media. You got to earn that with the viewers, and it's the cycle. And so, yeah, fortunately, all of our original partners came back, and then we added new ones, Essential Water, being the water sponsor, CashApp, Instacart, all folks, and there's a couple more coming, all folks that want to be associated with excellence, with greatness, with speed, and they're not endemic to the sport as well, right? Because that was also a goal of ours, right? How do we broaden, no one has any trouble. People are fighting over being an Olympic brand partner. And what is one of the biggest events and sports in the Olympics? Well, it's all things track and field. You guys know this. So again, we're just trying to create something that fulfills a need that already exists in the market and say, look, we are going to be this Formula One of track and field that is going to take all the very, very best, in the same way that, the TGL pitch was, hey, here are the best guys on the PGA Tour, and you're going to see them in team format. You're going to see them mic'd up. You're going to see them in prime time, and their personality is going to shine. If you want to advertise at the Masters, you can't. But here is something that's actually going to reach a much broader audience, much more exciting and sort of modern in the way we tell the story. And credit to the brands, they responded. And so it has been a lot easier this time. We still don't take any of it for granted. It was great having Ion step up and say, hey, actually, can we help broadcast this and extend the reach? So we added Ion to the broadcast side. And we just want to keep building. I think one other thing that I know Kayla will want me to mention, she has been our CMO with Athlos, but also did it with us for LA Golf Club and then Angel City back in the day. We also have directed dollars to our athletes, and that's really important, right? And so what does that mean? So, when, for instance, CashApp came to us and we were talking about this Times Square event, they're really excited by it. We could turn that into a relationship for Tara and you've probably seen some stuff with the collabs that they did with some merch and campaign. Again, that's her business. I can't speak to it, but I know there's real money that's now gone into her pocket because of a partnership that started at our league level with Athlos that said, hey, this is great. And can I double down with one of your stars? Of course, please. And there have been, I think, a half dozen. There were a couple last year with like Ryoko Rain and a couple other brands, but there's I think a half dozen now this year that Kayla's going to want to do some more talking around, because again, we know these athletes are just starting to get the earning potential that they deserve. And so if we as a league can create a win for them, and again, Tara's a shareholder, right? This is an important part of, as we build this out, every woman who competes in the league, and every person at some point who competes in our league is going to be a beneficiary of its growth. They're going to be a shareholder and a stakeholder in it. And for now, Tara can celebrate the fact that CashApp is a proud league partner, and she wins there in the long term, right, as an equity holder. But now we can also direct a more immediate benefit to her in her capacity as an individual athlete. And there's more of those stories that I want to keep compounding, because I think that's how we grow not just our chances of success, but the entire industries, this entire sports. And it's exciting. It's great. That's what we're trying to do here. And it makes our athletes even more committed to helping grow what we're building.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to the whole chat, man. Y'all in here showing a lot of good vibes, a lot of positive vibes, man. They're showing you a lot of love, Alexis, man.
Can I see the chat? Oh, there it is. My bad.
There you go.
It's on the bottom. Hello, chat.
You got a lot of people who are saying, man, doing it and listening to the athletes. Hallelujah, man. That's great.
Thank you.
I love how creative you are on your sponsorships, from the Tiffany crowns to the Spectrum last year, now to Cash App. Is there like a strategy that you have when you pick the partnership? Because a lot of people just can say, hey, here's a bag full of money. Congratulations. Hope to see you next year. Do you have a strategy, and what's the creativity behind it? And when it comes to that, also, I know you like to expand on a lot of things. You have also had entertainment from Meg Thee Stallion last year, and now you have
DJ
Sierra
D-Nice.
this year, DJ D Nice. Like, what's the creative process of selecting those kind of entertainers to be a part of track and field?
So on the brand front, a lot of credit to the team. Like, we have targets that we look at where we say, okay, we know, remember, I've been investing in women's sports now since I started Angel City in 2020. So as I've been adding more teams to my portfolio, I'm just getting to know more and more CMOs, chief marketing officers, who are like, I want to invest in women's sports. And in many cases, they come to me and they say explicitly, like when I started this TGL team in LA, they were like, look, yeah, you got the best golfers in the world, but they're all guys. And I'd actually much rather partner with any of your women-led teams or leagues, because it's shocking. 5 years ago, this was not the case. And in the last few years in particular, more and more brands are saying, hey, we see this huge opportunity. We want to invest, but specifically in women-led things. That's, at the end of the day, it's a big reason why we launched with women athletes. We talked about this last year. And track and field is a unique sport where the women actually can draw and do draw more followers on social. That's the free market of attention, and more brand dollars. And so it was a business decision. Now, it won't be that way forever, but we wanted to start to give the league the best opportunity possible. And again, with all the success that I've had building and buying women's teams, it just made a lot of sense. And so we know there's a bunch of brands that are really excited to just be supporting women's sports, et cetera. But then we also, this is not going to sound, it's not that sophisticated. You spend a little bit of time with ChatGPT brainstorming, literally, and thinking, hey, what are the brands, especially tech forward, and especially that are trying to reach audiences with a message around speed? And CashApp and Instacart are incredibly tech forward, incredibly culture forward, and trying to send a message about speed. And this is something else that I think the benefit of being an outsider is I'd come at this from first principles by default because I don't know any better, right? I build tech companies for a living. And so I'm just thinking, okay, what are the values of this sport and these athletes that brands want to be associated with? And the good news is there are a lot of companies that want to be associated with speed and excellence. And so that's made reaching out to partners like Instacart or CashApp actually really straightforward, because they understand where we're coming to meet them. They understand the kind of the event-like nature of what we've put on, and they see that it's bigger than just the sport. And it also doesn't hurt. I mean, look to the music entertainment side. Look, running and music. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room to think like, hey, maybe music and running go well together.
They go hand in hand. Yeah.
And you have something that, and this is a part of the storytelling to brands and partners, is like, look, the average, I'm a big NFL guy. That was the only sport that was on TV in my household. It was the only sport I played. It was the only sport I really loved for most of my life. And, the average NFL fan, we don't play football very often. I haven't put on pads since a senior year in high school. Okay. Very long time. This is a sport in athletics, track and field, right? Where you have people, run clubs are one of the most popular trends right now among digital natives. Just the action of jogging, of getting up and trying to train for a 5K. Like, there are so many human beings who are active participants in a version of this thing. And this is the purest expression of it. That is the very best in the world doing it. Damn, if I can't make a whole new generation of fans of this sport, I'm really screwing up, because it's the most basic sport in humanity, and there are so many people and growing doing it. And so I'm hopeful, and I think DJ D Nice has been a friend for a long time, and he was very kind to come spin in between the meets, and that was also, or in between the races at our meet. And again, none of us invented this. This intersection of music and culture and track meets has been around for a very long time. But one of the things we really leaned into was the fact that as a storyteller, we've got your attention for 2.5 hours, 3 hours, you come to Athlos. If I take you to an Angel City match or a Chelsea women's match, you're watching football for about 2.5, 3 hours. And, we're sitting next to each other. I'm talking to you, but we're also kind of watching the pitch. I'm talking to you. We're kind of watching the pitch. It's tough because you never know when not to pay attention, because at any moment something dramatic could happen, but you could be watching for 20 minutes and nothing happens. And you could say that about NFL, basketball, you say about any other sport. What's so powerful about this format is, and this was, I think I noticed this, it must have been at Eugene when we were scouting. It was one of the first real track meets I'd ever been to. It was qualifiers, and obviously it was very dramatic and very interesting. But there wasn't a lot of storytelling, right? There's field events going on at the same time as running events, what have you. And what I realized was, my God, if you've got these vibes and you've got the DJ spinning and you're having your drink and the sun's set and you had a long week, and now you're thinking, hold up, lights go out, pyro, smoke, walkout songs, right? WWE or UFC style intros for these athletes. I'm now promising you as a viewer, pay attention for the next 5 minutes, right? These ladies are fast, and you won't blink. And I promise you it's a high protein 5 minutes of sport, because there's a payoff here, right? And then as soon as that lady gets that crown, the beat drops and now they're spinning again. and you're back to talking to your people, and you're talking about that race that just happened, and you're placing your bet for the next one. And from a story standpoint, showing up, this format, this sport is so powerful because I can promise you spend 3 hours in an Athlos meet and you are going to get high return on investment for your attention, because when the sport is on, you're going to be unable to blink. And then when the sport is not happening, you're having a good time, you're getting another drink, you're vibing. And there's a dynamic there that as soon as I saw it for the first time myself, I was like, oh my God, this has the chance to be one of the best fan experiences in professional sports. And by marrying the two, I'm telling you, it just works. And certainly to have it finish with a performance from an acclaimed artist. Last year was Meg. She just had an album drop. This year, CeCe's got her album, and we're excited to see it. And I think it's just the start.
You've definitely said a lot. You definitely fed us a lot. But I want to go back. I know some of our fans want to know. You said it's going to be in a league format.
Yes, sir.
Our fans definitely want to know what type of league format, how it's going to be laid out. Can you explain any of that at this time, or is it close to the chest at this time?
No, I want to look. Let me again, full disclosure. You guys know this. I am still very much an outsider of the sport. What really impressed me as I spent more time talking to these athletes was because what I like about the team dynamic is if we can really create this Formula One of track and field, you already have brands that are so heavily invested in, the future of car racing. Let's say Mercedes, Ferrari. Mercedes is a good one. I mean, Lewis left, but Mercedes is a good one. Russell just won a thing. Right. The Mercedes brand is invested in making sure those cars in F1 go as fast as possible. And they use that technology ostensibly to make the sedan that they're selling the middle-aged guy feel like a high-performance vehicle, right? So it all kind of trickles down. And the aura of Mercedes winning F1 makes, the middle-aged dude they're trying to sell the Mercedes to feel compelled to do it. They're not going to ever drive as fast as those guys, but they dream of it when they get in the car. Fine. What gets me excited about the Formula One for track and field is that we know there are these brands that exist in this sport where you could apply that model and choose your favorite sneaker company and very quickly start to imagine a way that this sport starts to look and feel different for the casual fan in the same way that and we lived it in golf. Guys, everyone told me I was going to lose all my money with TGL. They said, no one cares about simulator golf. This is going to be boring, right? And after one season, we doubled all of ESPN's numbers in terms of projections, and a team sold to the Ford family in Detroit for 2.5 times what I paid buying the first team after 1 year. The expansion fee, literally just the fee to buy a team. So it was a huge success. Why? Because you could put the best golfers in the world in a format they had never been in before, teams outside of Ryder Cup, and then mic them up. And it was exciting. It was different. It was new. Now look, these golfers, man, they don't have the biggest personalities. I love Tiger. He's got guys like Max Homa on his team to kind of, gab and whatever. These guys have been forced by the sport to not have big personalities. But by the end of one season TGL, man, they're talking trash. It's incredibly entertaining content. And I'm looking at this. And
that's
like,
the issue with our sport, though. That's the issue with our sport. Our sport is supposed to be acting like it's white glove golf, tennis, where the athletes have to be able to be reserved like a Tiger. And these are young 20-year-olds, teenagers now who have big personalities, and they have to be shown. They have to be shown the right way, man. They have to be shown that they can be able to step up and stay who they are.
And what I think, and what we saw in just a few months in TGL, I cannot wait to show the world with our team-based league, because I know these athletes have huge personalities, right? And a few of them, Masai is one of my favorites on social. Like, a few of them are very, very good storytellers online. They obviously deliver on the track too, but they're great storytellers online. I can't wait to create a format where they're in teams. Imagine, we're taking a lot of inspiration from the NCAA. Once I learned that a lot of these athletes had, because even if they weren't Americans, right? They spend time here in the States. They're training at some of the top universities here. And once I started to see some of the, I'm watching YouTube and I'm like, oh, wow, like they take these championships really seriously in college. And you've got men celebrating with women across all these different disciplines of track and field. And again, as the storyteller, I'm like, this is incredible. This is so good. And so, the vision of Athlos then grows into this team-based league using a point system. So let's say we have, let's just hypothetically say we have 3 meets next year in major capitals all over the world. And we say, look, ladies, y'all are going to be running for your personal scores. You'll have personal prize money. You place first, second, okay, fine. But the biggest prize money in the season is for your team. And so you're still going to get paid real well for racing well yourself, but now you've got a real incentive at the end of that season. So again, the story that I'm imagining is even for some of the, let's imagine like the longer distance events. The longest thing we do right now is the mile. And I was even nervous about that. And then I learned about how great Faith was. And I was like, okay, we got to have the mile. This was Chris on my team who pushed it. He was like, you got to distance. I was like, dude, I got a short attention span. Like we need shorter races. And he was like, no, you got to have the mile. Very grateful we do. But now you can start to imagine what do the storylines look like in the mile, or even some of the longer races where you can cut back to the team that's mic'd up, that's cheering. Maybe one of the athletes is still pissed about the race she just had and someone's trying to cheer her up, or maybe they're screaming their faces off because they just saw something happen because so-and-so on their team just passed so and such who they know has beef. Like I have no doubt that in this environment, if we could get golfers to be engaging and entertaining, these athletes are going to be awesome. And it's going to bring even more layers of story to races that, again, for an outsider, becomes really easy to understand. The sport is so incredibly easy to follow as an outsider because you just need to learn, okay, person who comes in first, person who jumps the furthest, person who throws the thing the furthest wins. But then there's all this nuance that as outsiders, I don't have a clue. I just know at the end who wins. So that's good. I got to explain to people every time I take them to a soccer game what offsides is. And I still barely understand what offsides is. But thankfully, like here we have a sport in its simplicity and its elegance that is very easy to understand at first, but then has a depth once you start to learn all the subtleties. And I want to bring more of that out. And I think in this team-based format, we get it. And then we get to see, potentially brands duke it out over who truly has excellence in the Formula One of track and field. And what is that worth? What is that worth to hold the Constructors' Cup of Athlos, our version of the league and trophy for the winning team? There are some brands that are much more, let's say, up and coming in this sport that would love to be able to say, hey, we've got the best athletes in the world. And there are others that we know are like the Titans that would love to drive home the fact that, yes, they truly objectively have the best. They don't have to wait 4 years for the Olympics to prove it. They could do it every year. And I'm excited to see it unfold.
How exciting does this make you that you're building something from the ground up once again, like Athlos, which is unique within itself in the track and field space, which is obviously track and field has been the first sport that man has ever really done, right? Yeah. So now you're building something that is not only entertaining to the fans and audience, but it is game changing for the athletes itself. And where are the locations that you're looking at when you are going to expand Athlos? Is there certain cities that you have in mind? Because the chat, some of them out names in the chat, they're like,
what do y'all
Chicago,
want,
they're like Atlanta. They want to be able to get there and see Athlos in person.
Yeah. So one, it feels amazing. I'm grateful. I get to spend a lot of time now here in sport, buying teams, building teams. And I really thought, I still think the world of soccer, especially women's soccer, I'm very fired up about golf. There's other stuff we're going to be doing in and around sports. I feel so lucky that this has been not just as successful as it has been so quickly. I feel we have been so well received by the community, which has meant the world to me. These athletes, I feel so indebted to them because at the end of the day, you're right. This is the oldest damn sport in the world. Poetically, this was not intentional. 776 is named after my daughter Olympia because it was the year of the first ancient Olympic Games, 776 BC. And, the first event of the Olympics was a foot race. It was like a 200-meter, I think, foot race, give or take. I don't know if they were using meters back then. But, there's a weird, wild, almost kismet history to the fact that we're now innovating in this space. And I don't think I will ever get an opportunity to build from zero with as much momentum as we have here. And part of this is because you're right. It's the oldest sport. It is the most accessible sport. Sorry, football or soccer. And it's a sport that every 4 years captures the world's attention. And it's a sport that for hobbyists, if you just extend it to just running or just jogging generally, is the sport. of people. Like we have the chance to build something that is already imbued with so much history and so much awareness and so much simplicity and elegance, and yet has just never gotten this kind of investment before. And it feels special. And I realize how special I am and lucky really I am to be at this place at this time building this way. And it's got me fired up because, 5 years ago, I left the board of Reddit. I said, look, I've made enough money. I'm going to use my resources, my experience, my dollars to build businesses that are going to really be my legacy, things that will generate tremendous windfalls for my kids, sure, but also things that I'm really, really proud of. And I'll be damned if this Athlos will be, I really think, one of the biggest parts of my legacy 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And especially with an Olympics coming up in LA, I think we can come to this with a running start. The audience in the United States, and this gets to your other question, look, this should be on a professional level so much of a bigger sport in terms of popularity here in the US. And I'm not the first to say that, right? I mean, Eugene's a tough place to go to a meet, and having it be my first one was actually really instructive because, flying into Eugene, even if you're flying private into Eugene, is still, you're like, where the hell am I? Like, you're in the middle of nowhere. Now, it is track mecca, but, for a casual fan, like, it's not even on the radar. You're not even aware. And yet it's such an engaging show because, again, the Americans we're so damn good. So I think without a doubt, we have at least one city next year, in addition to New York, in the United States. There's been we've had, other team owners and whatnot have been really great about leaning in and saying like, hey, let me make the case for bringing it to, Atlanta, Toronto, Philly, Miami, Austin, Vegas, LA, to name a few. I want to, look, those are sort of in contention.
Well, the options, the options, yeah.
Those are options. I think the most important, we want to make sure we're growing intentionally. My hunch is we don't go anywhere too far west for next year. We keep it within a time zone or two of New York, since I'm based in Florida, spent a lot of time here in the city, just for simplicity, right? How do we want to under promise, over deliver for every one of these. So I think it's going to be, I don't think it's on the West Coast next year. But then I still want to stretch the team a little bit. And the other thing that blew me away was going to Europe, and I saw Diamond League meets in Paris. Obviously, I saw the Olympics in Paris. I saw Diamond League meet in London, and Europeans turn up. And then I'll be asking almost all of our athletes, hey, what are your favorite meets to go to, places in the world to go to? And it's crazy how often it ends up being in Europe. I've heard some wild ones, like some of the Nordics. I think a couple of our runners are huge fans of Oslo, like Finland, Norway. Yeah, it was Norway.
Norway, Oslo, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, those fans are diehard fans. We have good fans in America in pockets. But when you go to countries like that, they save up money. It's tradition. They bring their families to these meets, and they sit the whole time. They come prepared to watch and be entertained by the whole show, period. So it's a different breed over there for sure.
And so I love everyone in the comments about Eugene. No, it wouldn't be Eugene. Also, Eugene is like sacred. I'm not trying to mess with. No. Our goal is right. I want, if we're the Formula One at track and field, you can already kind of get a hunch of how I'm thinking, right? So think of the places where there's already Formula One, and there's probably some good indications. But these are, look, these are marquee cities. Monaco's on the list. Don't get me wrong.
I know.
So I don't think this is. He won't care. So the Prince of Monaco is a huge fan of the sport, loves athletics, loves track and field. Like there's been conversations with folks there. I think at the end of the day, it's first and foremost always a business decision, right? How do we put these next couple of meets in the best position possible to be as successful as possible? It doesn't hurt that I now have 10% of a team in London, in the Chelsea women. But like I said, I also spent a lot of time in France. I'm technically a German citizen, so I got some connections there. I'm just trying to keep you all on your toes, but I would like to do something ambitious that crosses the ocean, where we know there's a big fan base already that's going to show up for our athletes, and also can start to break into the mainstream. And I think that's the other big part of it is, how do we create something that the true fans, the track and field fans, like yourselves, like I'm sure most of these folks in the comments, will respect? Because again, we are World Athletics approved, like a sanctioned event. These ladies are getting points for this. This is a real professional event, but also brings in the spectacle, right? No one sees a Super Bowl halftime show and thinks like, well, that's not a real sport because they've got a Bad Bunny performing. Like, no, it actually brings legitimacy to the fact that this is the highest profile sporting event in the United States. And so why not track and field? I mean, everyone looks at the Olympics and they see, what was it, Lady Gaga was singing, everyone was there in Paris, and you just take for granted, of course, world-class sport is going to have world-class entertainment. I don't know if we'll do performers at every one of the events. Maybe we'll just finish it off in New York. We'll see, but to be determined.
To be clear, I know you watch and you're new to track and field, and you've watched a few track meets this year. You've watched the season. What was your favorite meet this season, and what's your favorite event, you being a new track and field fan?
So I got to spend a little bit of time in Tokyo. The World Athletics folks brought me out for the championship. And it was cool to see in particular the fact that you have, I really believe, I'm going to get in trouble. Serena does not agree with me on this, but I stand very solid. I think mixed doubles in tennis feels like an exhibition. When a man and a woman are playing in tennis together, it's cool to watch, but it's not, it just hits different. Okay. She doesn't think so, whatever. As I get outside of the sport, I just think it's different. What's so dope about mixed relays is that it actually feels like it to me, again, as an outsider, feels just as real as when 4 women or 4 men are running it. And that's one of the, again, I think through it in like the storylines. What's so compelling about the sport is that you have a format where you can have men compete against women, but they're still technically competing against men, if you know what I mean, for their sections, right? And you have men working with women. But again, you still have this, you basically acknowledge the fact that men and women are fundamentally different. Men's football, soccer is different from women's football, even though they're playing the same sport. It's just a different sport. And in so many other sports, when you try to mix, it comes off just not feeling, all right, some of y'all agree with my wife, she's the GOAT. But still, I watch those mixed relays and I'm like, oh, there are some really dope storylines here. They're just as,
I agree.
Again,
I agree with you.
The thing that breaks the feed, right? This is... because I come from the internet, I can only think about what is the stuff that gets someone to stop in their feed and be like, huh, what's that? And I really think we have a unique sport here that can allow this to happen. And so now I'm letting you in to think a little bit more. So as, again, we started with women because it was a business decision. At some point we will add men. And I've had this conversation with Noah. I'm very upfront about it. At some point, as we add that out, one of the things I'd love to see is that mixed format. In addition, sure, we'd probably have those sprinters doing their thing as well. But there's something exciting about that I think those storylines haven't happened yet. And again, if you imagine the rest of the team is there cheering a bunch of those folks on, right? In our F1 style format, you'd have a long jumper. Don't worry, Tara. You'd probably have a thrower. Maybe there's a little alpha in there. So there's a thrower in there. Maybe a heptathlete. Once I learned about the heptathletes, I was like, wait, so they do everything? And it's funny because like they're like, so again, I coming from a team sport format. I'm just thinking, okay, so that's like your role player, right? That's the guy or gal who's on the bench who can kind of fill in, do whatever you need type thing. Like they can play multiple roles. Okay, so in the storyline of this team, right? If someone doesn't feel, if one of your middle distance runner doesn't feel great, tag in the heptathlete. Like you've got some interesting ways again to keep it sanctimony, keep it honest, right? Have it feel still like real sport, but create these storylines that help normies, outsiders understand. Like, okay, there's just a different, interesting format here.
Yeah, definitely. I think that some people don't agree in the chat, but I like it to where the rules are taken away again for the mixed relay, and everyone has to be able to put in what their order is. Let's say 2 weeks out before it's time to go out there and run on the track. So now it gives everyone not only a physical understanding, but now like a coach can say, okay, how can we combat this order? You know what I mean?
Oh, I love that. And it's published. Yeah. Everyone sees it. That's great.
Yeah,
and then fans can debate it. Wait, so they don't do that right now, but they should, or they used to?
At first, they used to do it. Like the first ever World Relays, they just let it happen. But that was for the 4x4. But they never did it for the 4x1. But I think that they should do it for the 4x1 as well.
Oh, cool. Okay, and so what's the
Mm.
steel man? What's the best argument? Why would they change it?
Why would they change it?
Or why did they
Um,
change it? What was the reasoning?
I think it was the huge disparity when you had the woman and the man run together. It's just like the guy would either just run and run straight past her, so it didn't look super
Yeah.
competitive. So they didn't like it.
Oh.
So that's why like a man has to be on a man's leg, a woman has to be on a woman's leg. You know what I mean?
Huh.
I think that's why they changed it. It didn't look aesthetically pleasing.
But it would still, I mean, if you, right, so you have, if you, by definition, if you've got a man running that one leg against a woman, at some point you're going to have one of your women running against a man. But I hear you,
Exactly.
in that moment, it looks off. I don't know.
It just looks.
I love the strategy. Because I hear that, and the way y'all are proposing it, I'm thinking, great, you publish that. Now you've got, obviously the teams can strategize, but now all the pundits get to talk about it and debate it. And we know, folks in the chat, get those Twitter fingers out. Like, you want to be talking about it and having an opinion about it. And then, Monday morning quarterbacking it afterwards, like, oh, you should have run this order or that. Okay, this is why I need you guys. I need this again. We haven't made any decisions yet. But this is the way
we here, man. We here for you, man. We
Yeah.
definitely
Definitely here.
split the baby on. Even if you split the baby on the rules and say, hey, if you
Yeah.
run a female, it cannot be consecutive female. It has to be, if you go female, it has to be
Perfect.
male next. But
Great.
you get to pick what the order is, though.
Yes. Okay. That is a great compromise, right? Why? Because then you're still getting some of the payoff of, because I understand if the meet started out one team woman and another team man, it's going to feel really bad for the first bit of that storyline because the men's team is obviously going to be faster. But you're right. Have some rules, because and this is another thing too that I love. You get enough folks who deeply understand this sport, and then you get the outsider who just asks a lot of dumb questions, whose only goal is do something that the best athletes think is great. Because if the best athletes love it, everyone else wins. The fans love it. Everyone, like, it wins, right? It honors the sport and keeps it legit. But remember, every rule, and I have to remind my team of this all the time. Like, the NFL is a great example. Again, I take those rules as sacred because it's the sport I grew up with. It's the sport I played. They're all made up. Like, someone at some point decided, like, the 2-point conversion was invented at some point by someone who was like, hey, you know what? Instead of after a touchdown, they can kick the ball through the uprights. Let's give them a chance to try to score a touchdown. And if they do, let's make it worth 2 points. We in sport, we often take for granted that these things have been like written on stone tablets. They weren't. They were just made up by someone at some point. And so the best part about being able to innovate in sport, especially with these emerging leagues and building new leagues, is as long as you're keeping true to the sport and the people who, like, enough people who do it and have made their whole livelihood on it say, like, okay, that's a great idea, then you can be innovative with it and still find this way to push the boundaries to make it even more compelling for the fans, but still be true to the core product. So look at this. You guys, the chat agrees. I think there's definitely there. And I personally love the fact that it brings strategy into it and coaching into it. And it gives people something to debate and talk about. And again, we're going to do our job. UFC is one of my role models here, where they do such a good job on YouTube telling the stories of their fighters. And again, some of these guys are my friends, but they're a little one note, right? I like to hurt people. And they're not very telegenic. Again, great guys. Very few of them have personalities. And here we are in this sport where, like you said, so many of these athletes actually have really dynamic personalities. And part of our job is going to be, how do we tell those stories? How do we tell the stories of them off the track when they're traveling with their team? And that kind of, like, the behind the scenes, again, nothing tawdry, nothing cheap, but actually helping people understand, like, there's a lot to being a professional athlete. We did a version of this with women's soccer, the show called The Off Season. And, we put a dozen professional soccer players in a mansion for a few weeks during their off season and just ran tape on their lives and then their training. And they weren't even in season. And this thing ended up doing a couple 100 million views. We're now launching shows. I'm not allowed to say, but we're doing like 2 or 3 other sports here imminently. We're obviously going to have that crew working on Athlos here. And what people realized was we showed the world, and Sprint did a really good job. Don't get me wrong. But at least in my opinion, Sprint did. I'd be curious to what you all thought. Box to Box buttered their bread on Drive to Survive. And you think of all the sports docuseries that have followed since, they're almost all featuring male athletes. And look, those editors, the guys of F1, I mean, there's a couple personalities, but like most of them are not the most telegenic. But those editors did a great job. They told a great story. It's a great show. why, when every reality show that exists is anchored around women, why this took so long to focus on women's athletes is shocking to me. But what we found was, the life of an athlete is already a really stressful, dynamic, like fascinating one. And then because you have this different team dynamic where you're kind of forcing them, like some of these folks will train together, others won't. We're trying to make a thing that is not natural, but in that is a little bit of discomfort, which is good storytelling. Again, we never do anything to harm these athletes or their careers or anything. Like, it's not going to be invasive or tawdry or Real Housewives crazy shit. But I see what the run. No. Trust me. Watch off season. You'll see. You don't need any of that stuff when you're dealing with athletes, because the life of the athlete is already just so stressful, and it makes for such a good format. And because so many of these athletes are already used to creating content by nature, you just end up having, it's just a whole different storyline. So that's going to be a big part of our job too, is making so many of these athletes into even bigger stars. Melissa's a great example of one where I'm just like, oh my God, like how do we do everything we can to tell this story? I'm obviously bummed. She's coming for a meet and greet here at Athlos. But very excited to see her racing in our league next year. And so how do we find ways to just keep elevating her story? Saw her Jennifer Hudson recently, which was great.
She's funny.
She's fantastic.
When you know Melissa, she is hilarious.
Yes.
She's funny, actually. And I want to see more of that of her. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So those could be able to show that next year for sure.
Precisely. And it's that stuff that if we do our job well, we create an environment where these athletes are willing to open up. They know they have this space, and it will not be hard for people to fall in love with them. It will not be hard for people to be excited by them, motivated by them. And, again, if we can pull off this F1 model, there's a lot of big brands in running that have a lot of money that they will be even more motivated to use to promote their teams and promote their athletes. And my hope is that ends up putting even more pressure, like upward pressure, on when we're talking about salaries, when we're talking about prize money, and it further fuels the sport. Because if, look, at the end of the day, here in the United States, it's capitalism. And so if you can prove out that this is a sport that is like generating real revenue, because there are so many people tuning in and watching, obviously the athletes should be the biggest recipients of that.
I like this year that you actually got people from track and field, Olympian Don Nelson Harper. She's the first lady of RSG, if you didn't know.
Shout out.
I like that you have her. She's very funny, very live, commentating and doing Athlos. You went and you sought her out. I didn't know how that happened, but I like.
Shout out to Neff. Neff on my team was like, we got to have Dawn here, and I was like, I trust you. Neff's Bahamian. Neff does not play.
2.2. I know Neff. I mean, she shouted me out when I was there. 2.2. I already know.
Yes.
Yeah. So I actually like that you made that switch up. I like that. I mean, last year you did have women in that space, but you have more knowledgeable women who are very knowledgeable in that space, giving people from our world a chance. I definitely like that. Going back to the beginning, was I don't know if I heard you clear enough, but did you say there will be betting at Athlos?
Yeah. Well, okay. So yes, last year we had DraftKings. This year we have DraftKings is back. So, this is where the disclaimer goes about like responsible betting. And if you're a gambling addict, blah, blah, blah. But yes, we had betting last year. We have betting this year. Bet responsibly. Have a great time. And yes, so it'll be back. And I think if I abstract away the sport of people going fast from point A to point B, whether they're running, whether they're on horses, whether they're in Formula One cars, there is a culture and a dynamic to it that makes it exhilarating to be able to have, something on the line. We'll more than likely in our league app have what I'd call like a family friendly version of it, which is just for points. So it's not for money, but if you're good at predicting who's going to win, sure, you get a bunch of points, which you can redeem for merch and other fun things. But the really crucial thing there is, and I've seen it, Lord, I've seen it in tennis, some of the worst, most vile, trollish behavior online, and I've certainly seen it on tennis, comes from this like very degenerate betting community. And so look, the reality is the vast majority of folks who are going to do betting, perfectly reasonable, having a good time. And so it's our job to build a league and a structure and environment where you can get, again, if you're an adult, do what you're going to do. Good luck. But at the same time, mitigate the most sort of destructive, worst parts of it. And thankfully it's a minority, albeit a very toxic one. But, I think it'd be silly to say that it's not a part of helping it continue to go into the mainstream. Like the shocking stat most folks don't realize, $150 million is roughly, is what folks, you can do a little bit of math on it, but it's like about $150 million is what the Kentucky Derby makes total for Churchill Downs. So this is a highly, highly profitable, it's $150 million in profit every year. That is a very profitable race. And, the sport of horse racing, not the most culturally relevant these days. The average person cannot name a single jockey or horse. And yet it's like a cultural destination. And part of it's because of the vibe, part of it's because of sports betting, lots of this other stuff. But in my mind, I really think of that as like the bear case of what we could build, because it's my contention, these athletes are way more compelling. The sport is way more popular. And the connection to the modern culture is a much more obvious one than, what goes on down in Kentucky.
So you got some people already that's ready to line up for the betting when it comes to Athlos. You got Rick Pennington that said he bet on Melissa and Sydney and made a couple bucks. All good for the bet, man. DRL asked Alexis, who would you bet on? I'm trying to.
I'm not betting on anybody. Come on. Come on. Yeah, that's a trick question. I own too many teams now.
Man. We're sorry, bro. No insider trading over here.
I can't even. I own too many teams now. I'll still get pitches for sports betting apps like tech startups. And I have my team do all the downloading and practicing because I don't like even beta testing it because I'm not even trying to. You'll never catch me placing away. Like I just can't. Again, I used to enjoy it, but I can't touch any of that stuff. Come on. Especially with my own league. Like, no. They're all winners in my eyes.
I just wonder. I think betting in our sport, like a lot of people who watch track don't understand how the betting structures work with those DraftKings and such like that, because it's not marketed like football or it's not marketed like basketball where you have parlays. Like people understand that, but they don't understand. So I feel like when you're betting on track, like if somebody could have like a tutorial on how the bets work, that would probably be a little bit more better for the track community of people who want to bet. Now, I'm not saying I'm saying people who like betting.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm not encouraging it, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I think there's definitely a conversation we had with Jason. So Jason's the CEO of DraftKings. He's a good friend, smart guy. I think there's stuff we can do for our league format to just make it more user-friendly. And he'd be incentivized for that too, right? He has a business incentive to have more people on. And then, like I said, within our league app, we'll have a version of this that is really designed to be way more user-friendly, right? To get someone who's a fan of the league. Think of all the fans of the NFL, the NBA, who have no interest in betting whatsoever. But maybe they played, I'm dating myself, Farmville, right? There is a huge overlap. Few folks don't realize the biggest demo for mobile games is actually women. So if you include in the world of when we think of gaming, we think of guys, right? We all grew up playing video games. If you broaden the definition of gaming, like video games, to mobile, actually it becomes women because there's so many people with mobile phones and so many women play some type of mobile game. Ask your ladies, they're playing at least one or two, right? And so I look at that again as an entrepreneur, and I'm like, okay, so we have this opportunity to take the exact same audience that's very happy to do some kind of mobile gaming type thing where stakes don't really matter, and actually apply it to a thing that they would enjoy, which is this sport. So I think there's some good ways that we can pinpoint it to create that kind of experience that makes it super user friendly. Again, in our case on the league app, it wouldn't be literal betting, but again, rewarding. I mean, people again look at all the time people spend trying to get fake gems in these mobile games. What is our Athlos equivalent? I think we got some fun ideas for that app. And again, I want to serve every customer, right? If you're the gambler, great, you got that option. And if you're not, we got something for you too.
No, that's true. But like I'm saying, like the marketing of it. So like how you say $5 you get in bonus bets. There's no real incentive on a track app. I've never seen anything
not yet.
Like for them to bet. Right, that's what I'm saying. So if you would, I know I would do it because I actually guessed the exact time that Melissa Jefferson would have ran to win. You see what I'm saying? So if
Yeah.
somebody like me with a bet, or if you could bet and put them in order, you could get like a trifecta, things like that. Like,
Okay.
you get an extra bonus. So those type of things. I'm gonna need my 10%, Alexis, if you do that.
I'm
I'm
texting Jason right now.
gonna need my 10%.
And
Everybody know that's my coin phrase.
yeah.
I need my 10% on any
I'm
idea.
gonna make sure, here's what we'll do. Okay. Again, I have to be very careful as a league owner talking about sports betting. Let me
100%.
let's have a conversation,
Off chat.
and I'm a man of my word. We'll have a conversation offline, and who knows, y'all might see Ready Set Go and DraftKings Green for a month or two. So we'll see.
Here we go. I like that.
Hey.
What we're talking about right now. Let's go ahead and talk about our role, man. We got a commercial that we got to drop real quick.
Fantastic.
Plug our row sponsor. What's up, guys? We are a row partner. In your relationship, how does your partner tell you that they're ready for sex? Is it a wink? Is it an outfit that they're wearing? You know, when you get that hint, you know it's time to pop a Row Sparks.
Row Sparks is that 2-in-1 prescription treatment for guys who need that secret weapon. Row Sparks give you the boost to last longer so everyone can have pleasure in bed.
Connect with a provider at row.co/RSG to find out if a prescription Row Sparks is right for you. If prescribed, new sexual health patients get $15 off on your first order of Sparks on a reoccurring plan. That's row.co/RSG for $15 off your first order. Now let's get back to the episode. Everybody want to support us, go ahead and get the Row, man. Put the RSG tagline on it. Get that Row. You need it. You need it. You know you need it. Everybody need a little help. Everybody need
That's hilarious. You guys know I was like one of the earliest investors in that company. So I love seeing the Row promotion. I'm on the board, full disclosure. So thank you for the thank you for being
thank you.
There you go.
Hey,
and I gotta tell folks the streaming partners. So it is, let me get this list right. All right. So we just added Ion. They showed up and said, hey, we want to broadcast. So if you got a TV, you're gonna be able to watch this. We got Ion. We got YouTube, we got X, we got DAZN, and we got ESPN Plus. And if you want to watch the broadcast from last year, it's on YouTube. I think it's on ESPN2 somewhere if you go far enough. Anyway, it's all there. We want to make it as accessible as possible. So yeah, it'll be on YouTube. Follow like and subscribe to Athlos. Yeah.
For sure. Everybody like and subscribe. Hey, Alexis, I know you came into the game, especially with building Athlos, is to be able to help, female athletes be able to get to the next level, right? Mm-hmm. And it seems that, you've taken your steps. You've been cautious about how you move forward. You strategize very well. You've brought in the field, right? And now you have long jump in the game. What does the throws look like for the women as well? Because you have some amazing talent over on the throw side for the women as well.
Yeah. Gosh. I can't give you guys everything. I haven't told anyone we were going to add throwing. So you guys already got that one. Okay. How about this? I'm very transparent about this stuff. There's this great Vince Lombardi quote. I think it's Vince, where it's like, you should literally be able to tell the other team what offense you're about to run because they shouldn't be able to stop it. Like you want to be that great. So I have no problem helping y'all think, helping y'all understand how I'm thinking. And I would love the feedback and, I guess we don't really have competition, but I want to be as transparent as possible, but still keep some surprises because it helps with promotion, right? I want to drop you can tell I'm from the internet, right? I'm thinking, how do we, drip out various announcements and launches and different things to maximize the exposure for the league, for our players, for all that stuff. But the way I think about it, why we do long jump? Well, so yes, Tara did respond to my DM and say, I'm not going unless I'm competing. Okay, touche. But the way we looked at field was simply, where's the biggest following? Again, y'all, this has always been a business decision. And the women of track and field, again, just look at the follower counts. They have a bigger social media following. You might be like, oh, well, this guy is just the guy who made Reddit. So, of course, he's biased towards internet following counts and engagement. But the reality is it's a free market of attention, right? Every day, we all decide what to swipe, what to follow, what to like. And you may not like the fact that these athletes, these women, have more followers than the men, but that's the free market. And if you're mad at the free market, that's okay. But you're like the old guy shaking your fist at the sky. This isn't because of feminism. This is because the free market says these athletes have a bigger social media following. And so it is an easier business bet because they have attention. And attention is what makes all the difference in sports. It's why people fill the stands. It's why 3 million people tuned in for the Athlos broadcast. Like, it's the power of attention. So when we expanded the field, the reason we started with the long jump is because Tara is the biggest name in field on the women's side who is active and who is already leaned into what we're doing. So it was an obvious fit. I did finally get to meet Mondo, who's awesome, when I was in Tokyo. And I told him, I was like, dude, man, you're going to be the reason we add pole vaulting. And again, why? Because he has the following.
He do.
Because
he has that power. He has that thing about him too. He's cool. He's really
got
cool.
that aura. He's got a vibe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, we're not adding men's pole vaulting yet, but this is the way I would think about it. Again, I'm very transparent with these guys. This is the same thing to Noah. I'm like, you have that following. You are that guy. And like, if we expanded to men, or I guess when, obviously we want to make sure we get you involved. And so on the women's side, if we think about throwing, I guess the way I would say think about it is like, look where the biggest following is. Now, Tara is definitely in a league of her own on field. That's why we started with long jump. So on the ladies' side, look at some of the best throwers and look at those following counts. And that is where you have the wedge in, because, and I think this is where where folks miss on sport historically is, okay, building Reddit. I spent 15 years of my life trying to make sure you tap the little button on your phone for our alien instead of all those other buttons. And thousands of people made it their job at Reddit to make sure you push that little button first and not some other button. Our job was to make sure you push that button and like, don't talk to your wife and like, don't pay attention at work. Like, we were competing with your attention for everything in your life, and we had to win, and we did. It's a $40 billion company today. So all of us, and my team here at 776, this is the exec team at Reddit. These are all folks that I've curated and gotten to work with, and it's been so awesome. We come into this so humbly because we know we have not earned a single person's attention. No one gives a damn about what we're building. Every day, we have to re-earn their attention every single fucking day. And so when your job is to earn attention every single day as you're building a league, you have to be ruthless about where you're investing your time and understanding why people care. No one's ever going to tune into Athlos. No one's ever going to tune into our league because of me. No one cares about me. If I think for a second this league is about me, we failed. The only reason people are going to tune in is because of our athletes. Why? Because people care about them. The athletes who have the biggest following are the easiest way for us to earn some of their fans' attention and start to build brick by brick by brick by brick to earn the right for people to actually care about our league and what we're doing. And so that's why we've taken the approach we've taken. And if we do right by those athletes and we keep building brick by brick by brick, I think we can build something that really can stand up as a Formula One of track and field. But we don't want to grow too fast, and we want to be intentional with every way we grow. And so I can't tell you which throwing event we're going to do, but if you just check the Instagram followings of those top ladies of throwing, and you'll probably have a good line of sight into where we're going.
So I definitely think that you, obviously, you think from the internet base and following, and you're taking your time in the way you build this league. I think you have a fair advantage of knowing the internet and its background very, very well. I'm gonna ask some of the hard questions now, right?
Bring it. Come on.
Last year's Athlos, so just asking, was Athlos profitable for you, or did it take a loss?
No, took a loss.
Took a loss. Do you think, are you working for it to be profitable this year?
It will more than likely take a loss this year.
Okay. All right.
So what's your end game?
You didn't ask me about next year.
Oh.
So
you didn't ask about next year. Next year we look to possibly be profitable.
So I would like, and look, we push ourselves very intentionally, knowing that, I mean, like I said, we paid those athletes within 3 business days last year, and that wasn't fast enough. So we made sure to pay them. We'll pay them instantly this year. We made sure, again, if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it great. It's funny, coming from tech Reddit was only recently got profitable after like 20 years. Now, obviously, a tech company has a very different overhead, right? It's a lot cheaper to run than a physical league, which has a lot more infrastructure costs. But I come from a world where I know going into it, we have to operate at a loss to start. And, thankfully, I've got the money to be able to make sure that we can do that. And we can, sign checks that our ass can cash. And so that was important, right? Because you got to build that reputation. Our hope would be that by next year, the first year of the league, we are approaching break even. And so not profitable, but very, very close to breaking even. So that the following year, so 2027, we could actually be profitable. Now, the reason why we would not want to be profitable by then is because maybe it's going so well that we say, okay, we can actually either finally take on outside funding so we can grow a little faster, or, we've decided at the end of the day, there's an opportunity to double down in some of the existing stuff that we're doing and maybe not grow as fast in the number of meets, but maybe expand those meets to multiple days and say, okay, we can get people to come around and not just spend the night at Athlos, but actually spend all day long and have undercards and do more. So we would either say, okay, we're going to add more meets, which again has more cost to it, but also means the league is really growing. It means our, teams are very happy with the output, or we're increasing the depth. So instead of making money for just 3 hours at an event, you're making money for 6. And this is what you see so many teams. We're doing this with Angel City. We're doing this with Chelsea Women. Like, you're noticing probably your favorite professional Big Four sports team wants to get you to the game earlier, not just to tailgate, but especially if it's women's sports, for a fan fest, because we want you spending money and we want you spending time. And what's especially powerful with women's sports is it's a much more family, it's a broader audience than just like, the boys tailgating at an NFL game, which again has been me for most of my life. So you have more of a reason to spend more money and feel more of a connection to the brand. So we're either going to go deeper, or we add more units, or we add more events. But the goal will always be make this sustainable. I think just as a promise to the athletes, it's important. And I just think also as a businessman, it's going to be an important way to run it. So we would ideally then, so like I said, be approaching break even next year, and then potentially profitable the following season.
Another question for you. I'm pretty sure you've seen what happened with GST and Grand Slam track and everything. What did you think about Grand Slam track and everything else? Obviously, like, it wasn't successful based on one of the initiating investors pulling out. But as far as the format of what Michael Johnson and his team set up, what were your thoughts on it?
Look, I was floored in part because I remember coming off the stage with Gabby in April, and I thought, I'd spent a few months talking to all these athletes saying, hey, here's this thing I want to do. I want to build this league. First step is doing this event, end of the year, blah, 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 prize money. And we come out on stage, and literally like a day later, I see this SBJ article that says, hey, Michael Johnson's raised $30 million for a track league. And I'm like, literally a day after. I mean, you can check the SBJ article. I'll put it in the comments. And I was like, wow, like I've just been talking to all these athletes, the top athletes of the sport. And no one had ever mentioned anything about this. This had really come out of the blue. But I was like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't know. We had competition early on. God, we probably like a dozen competitors for Reddit when we got started. And so really, to me, competition is a sign that you're doing a thing that is actually really compelling, right? Because other people want to do a hard thing too. And so I was surprised because like we had literally just announced, and I learned about this new track league that, has $30 million. And I was like, cool, well, Michael Johnson's a legend. Like, this is going to be, I think, complimentary, and probably be good for the sport, because overall it'll just increase. It's more investment. It's more awareness. It's all complimentary stuff. I think the one thing that did surprise me was that, and I tweeted about this again, I keep it 100, maybe to a fault, but that's just how I roll, was when I saw, I tweeted about this. I again, we'd always been very upfront with our athletes. We said, look, we're building a league, Formula One style model, team-based, blah, 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 but we're going to build this incrementally because we know we have to earn our way with brands. We have to earn our way with fans. And then imagine my surprise when, again, we've announced Athlos, record-breaking prize money, all this stuff. And then we have athletes getting contracts put in front of them that prohibits them from competing in another league without getting the express consent of Grand Slam track. And I tweeted about this and I said, look, this is really disappointing because these athletes are not making the kind of money where they can just be so cavalier about turning down opportunities. It also feels just kind of bad. It feels a little predatory, I think were my exact words, that you'd be taking athletes who are already not in superb financial situations, especially compared to other professional athletes, and basically prohibiting them by signing up for your league, prohibiting them from doing another league without getting your permission. Like it felt wrong to me. It's not the kind of contract I would ask someone to sign. It's certainly not a contract I'd let my daughter sign. And thankfully, sunlight's a great disinfectant. So tweeted about it and, sure enough, those lines disappeared from the contracts, which was good because we're giving more flexibility to our athletes. Tell you what, Gabby calls me up and she says, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about running in this new league. I said, God bless. That's awesome. Fantastic. Get your bag. Make sure the wire clears. But this is a great thing for you. Honestly, I was like, thank you, Gabby. Tells you what kind of person Gabby is though, right? Gabby's going to come correct. She's like, look, I announced this thing with you. I'm this thing came after and now wants me. And I just want to make sure I'm doing it. I'm like, come on, are you kidding? Like, yes, of course. Secure your bag. So I guess some of the ways it was handled was weird. But like I said, I keep it 100 and, I got a pretty big following on social media and I use it. And so I was glad because again, I think that's just better for the sport. If these athletes don't have, these kinds of contractual guardrails, especially this early into, I'd say the new wave of track and field. So, look, obviously it's a disappointing thing to see. I hope they get it all sorted. I hope those athletes all get paid. Michael's obviously always going to be a legend. But we're focused on our game and I mean, we have been from the start. And obviously I hope all those debts get paid.
I don't know if you've seen our show with Michael. Michael was on our show and he talked about it. He talked about it freely about what happened. I mean, he answered some questions. He danced around others. But we did ask him. He was like, hey, if someone like Alexis said he would inject or help, what would that look like for you? Would you accept it or anything? And if you was to accept, at what capacity would you try to help him structure to make Grand Slam successful in its demise right now?
Okay, wait, hold on. So actually real quick, can I chat? Oh, no, I can't. Can I? I can't drop things in the chat, can I?
I don't know.
Oh, wait, I can to you. Okay, I can to the producer. Look at this. I love bringing the receipts. So we announced this on April 23rd, and this is the Washington Post article from the day Gabby and I announced it. And then literally right after, and this article was literally the same day. I remember coming off stage and I saw this article. And this article says, the first line, Olympic champion Michael Johnson has secured more than $30 million from investors and strategic partners for a track league he plans to launch next year. So again, imagine my surprise, literally coming off the stage, and I've been talking to people for months about it. And I'm like, damn, this whole time, this guy's had $30 million building a league and no one knew about it. But that was a little, again, I'm an old school business guy. It was a little, the timing of it was curious. And so, okay, so sorry. So the interview, the question was, you asked was if I called. I
asked Michael.
Yeah.
I said, hey, if someone like Alexis would try to help you, would you take the call? He said yes. He said yes. But then my next question to you was, under what terms? To shorten what I said, under what terms would you do so? Under what terms would you do so?
Okay. I think the premise of the question is interesting because if I'm in trouble, I'm usually the one making the call to someone else, right? It's not the person bailing you out is not the one usually calling up asking for the thing, right? It usually goes the other way.
Unless you're the devil.
Oh Lord. Oh jeez. So
I just
but
want to
in
see
the
my
premise-
dog be successful.
Yeah. No, look, Michael's an absolute legend. Absolute legend. The
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, it's interesting. Over the years with Reddit, we had versions of this same thing as we started beating competitors, and some wanted to come get acquired or what have you. We never did it. And one of the reasons why was because when you're doing M&A, you're not just acquiring, the brand or the I guess contracts, whatever the assets that they have at Grand Slam. You're also bringing in the culture and you're bringing in the team. And I don't know anything about the team. I don't know anything about the culture. But again, in all the experiences I had with Reddit, there were one of the best things a business can do is develop not just a great product, but also a great culture and a team. And part of having a great culture, and I think this exists in sports too, on certainly a team level, but okay, in business, one of the best things you can do is know what you are and know what you aren't. And by establishing a strong culture, you're also basically signaling to people who want to come work there, actually, this isn't for me, because maybe this culture just works too hard, or this culture is focused on this or that, and it's about this, but not that. And every business culture is a unique one. But I do think it is very, very, it's not as simple as just saying, hey, let's, acquire this asset, because you're acquiring people, you're acquiring culture, you're acquiring a way of doing things. And I just also know we are so unique in the way that we are structured. Like here's the thing that's going to maybe surprise y'all. Again, we announced in April. We did the event 5 months later. The team that pulled off Athlos, and even to this day has been building it, is like 5. Now it's 6 people, and they're not even full time. So we have a remarkably small team. Now we do, for event production and things, we're obviously, contracting out. Like there's other groups that we contract with to do a lot of the nuts and bolts, building of it. But the team really running things is incredibly small. By our standards, that's how we want to be. Again, coming from technology, I never want to have a company with hundreds of employees again, because I think, especially in this new age, you want to have a team of Navy SEALs and not the Navy. And there's no disrespect to the men and women in the Navy, but you want the elite fighting force of a small team that has worked very well together for a long time, that can anticipate one another, and that just demands, there's nowhere to hide on a small team. If you are not performing, again, I know nothing about what it's like to be a Navy SEAL, but I'm a big fan of Jocko. Know nothing about it though. But like when you're on a small team, there's nowhere to hide. And if you can create that culture that expects a lot out of folks, rewards them well for it, but expects a lot out of them, that's a unique, special thing. And so I would like to believe that even as Athlos grows in this league, this kind of F1, we always can do it in a way that feels very lean, very effective. It requires excellence. It requires a lot of hard work, and requires a lot of software, which we're happy to build. But it's built in a different way. So again, that's not a judgment. I don't know anything about this team. I don't know, but like, it's not as simple as just an M&A. And then the other option is what? Like write a check, which
no, you don't have to actually write a check, even if you create the influence of, you have a relationship with a lot of major sponsors. If you say, hey,
but
if you
okay,
structure it that way, you don't have to literally give your money.
yeah,
But you have influence to have them get some money.
I certainly think I have that kind of influence. At the end of the day, like, these people are still CEOs of companies that need to be able to justify a return on investment.
100%.
And so, look, I got some influence, I got some friends, but like, I can't, browbeat someone into 10, 15, $20 million. And, I think it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. And any of the, stuff that we had, like I said, I handle my stuff in daylight, and I was glad to see them making the changes in response to what I'd pointed out. But we're focused on our game. We're focused on what we're building. And like I said, I hope those athletes get paid. I hope there is a second act for Grand Slam, especially for those athletes and for all those folks who are working on it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's to come. But,
I was just being fair. I asked them about you, so I figured I would ask.
Yeah, look. It's the first time I've been asked about it. I don't know how many times he's been asked about me, but this is that's very reasonable.
Yeah. So switching it up, Alexis.
Yeah.
You are a dad, right? To two
Mm-hmm.
daughters, correct?
Two of them.
So with that being said, how has that changed your business mindset rearing two daughters?
Mm.
And also, if let's just say Olympia decides to grow up to be an athlete, are you going to be that space where you're going to be a manager, or are you going to be that dad who's cheering from the stands? Are you going to be business
Lord.
mindset, or are you just going to be like that dad who's like, you did a great job today, babe?
You know, we already talked about it, my wife and I. Oh Lord. I would want, like any parent, you want your girls to be happy, be useful. That's what I tell them every day. Right now, Olympia wants to be a teacher, fashion designer, like an entrepreneur, fashion designer, like start her own fashion brand, and play tennis. All three. I'm like, baby, I
Okay.
don't know. We don't say can't in our household, but you're gonna do a lot of work. You're gonna spend a lot of time doing those things. But you know, I still want to. She's 8, so you want to encourage, right, as much as you can. She's playing golf. I'm her daddy caddy on Sundays. She's playing tennis. Obviously, that's her mom's department. But if she goes into sports, she seems like a solo sport gal. We'll see with the little one. I tried team sports with Olympia, but she's definitely more in a solo. You know, the solo sport athletes, y'all are built different. I was a team, like I was not a great athlete by any means, but I was a team sport guy. Love team sports. I feel like it helped me be a CEO in a lot of ways. It helped me a lot in life. But solo sport athletes are on another level. Like it is, it is so much more mentally taxing. But y'all are a whole nother level. Like it's a much harder thing. I will settle this debate anytime it comes up. Solo sport athletes are more, whatever you want to call it, impressive. It is harder to be a great solo sport athlete than a team sport athlete. And so on the one hand, I'm like, God, you're going to have the best Olympia. You're going to have the best person to sit you down if you're ready to say like, yeah, I want to wake up at 5 a.m. and train and I can't be dragged out of bed. I got to want to do this because like the only requirement, you can do whatever you want, but you're going to have to like put 110% into it. If you're going to be a teacher, great. You're going to be the best teacher out there. If you're going to be a tennis player, you're going to have to be the best, or at least the best you can be at a minimum. Play that game with yourself. Now, if your mama's played that career before, had that career before, you're going to be spending your entire life compared to that. It's great seeing Charlie and Tiger. I love that. I hope that continues to flourish. And obviously LeBron and Bronny live in a version of that too. But I think as we've talked about it, there would probably come a time. I know I have no opinions on the sporting side. No, come on. No clue. But on the business side, for sure. I don't, this is a long ways away. This is 10 years. But
you're like, you're stressing thinking about it right now though. You're like, oh,
I know, but I'm already like, but look, it was really important to me, right? When I started all these teams, I've made Olympia and Adira, there's a trust set up for them that I funded so that they're shareholders in everything that I've built on their own. And that's money. These girls are covered, right? But my job is to make sure not just that I've provided the resources for them and honestly their kids at this point, but that we instill an ethic in them that if it all just disappeared tomorrow, they're still able to build and again, be useful and do something. And again, they'd be a teacher. That'd be amazing, right? Just be great at it. Do your best. Be useful. It's actually one of the saddest things right now is you see how many people, and God knows you see it online, who have lost this will, and you can see how impotent it makes them feel because they lash out online because they just don't have any usefulness to bring to the world, or they feel like they don't, and it's a victim mindset that I just hate to see. And I really believe for so many folks, like if you can just take a few days to just do something useful, to find something that you're creating some value, doing something, it is so much more satisfying than the Twitter fingers. And so, yeah, for my girls, God, if they get into sports, you better believe I'll be some kind of dadager. Is that what it's called? Dad manager. I'll be on the business side and trying to make sure these girls, it's funny. Okay. There's a little alpha here, maybe because of all the sports stuff and especially women's sports stuff. I've become like the go-to dad for all these dads name any of the top or think of any of the top sort of collegiate women athletes. Almost all their dads, like we've got a group chat and because I've gone out of my way and I've basically said, listen, like if you ever need advice, question, any stuff, like, please, this is what I would do if Olympia were in this position, 10 years from now. And it's even little stuff where, there's been so much value now in match worn apparel that for every one of these ladies, think of the NCAA tournament, all the big names, right? I'm making sure that they are saving their jerseys, their shoes, so that when they're coming off the court, especially if they've had a big game, they won a championship, or just any moment, that those are going in a Ziploc bag, that someone is writing, like, here's the date, here was the score, and then you give it to your dad, give it to your mom, put it away, forget about it. Because there is going to be value to that memorabilia. Again, this is such a niche, stupid thing, but these are all the things I would literally do with Olympia if she chose that line of sport, because I've spent the last 5 years basically collecting back so much of Serena's stuff. Now, she kept a lot of it, but there's a lot of her memorabilia that just made it out there. And I was like, I don't want my kids to have to see this in a museum. Like, you look at the Google valuation of match worn apparel for some of the stars of the NBA and men's sports, and that'll tell you the story. I mean, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. There'll be $1 million jerseys in the not too distant future. And I want to make sure these young athletes get to keep that in their family instead of, some random third party collector making the killing off of it. But yeah, I'd be the business guy, and Mama would handle all the sports stuff for sure.
I think that's how the partnership should go, man. That's good parenting, but share responsibilities with you and your wife. Changing gears again. How do you guys go about selecting the entertainment for Athlos? And is the entertainment, are they interested in track? Is she interested in track? Does she have a favorite track? Does she even watch?
I gotta ask Cece. I don't know. I didn't know Meg like that, but Cece's been a family friend for a minute, and I should ask. Let me find out. I'll make sure we get a clip of her talking about it.
Send it to us. Yes.
I will get. Okay, we'll get you all the exclusive. And
get us the exclusive.
Every year we have this debate, and then I opt out of it real quick because I'm like, here's the budget. I have, like, here's some names that I just hear, I see, in the timeline, but I don't know anything about music. And then Chris on my team is basically like CEOing this day to day. He's the guy who ultimately makes the call, and everyone seemed really happy with Sierra. So I was like, cool, that looks great.
Listen, I saw some of the suggestions. Listen, if you would have got
Beyonce, Rihanna,
if you would have got
making
Rihanna,
babies. Don't rule it out. Don't rule it out.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't really moved by too many female stars, but if you would have got Riri,
Riri special. Some of these ladies were asking for Beyonce, and I'm just like, come on.
I don't think that's attainable. Like that one.
No, but don't you see? That's just it, though. You tell me I can't do something.
Oh, you're gonna make it happen.
That's a problem. It is. Everyone's got their issue. That's mine. So believe me, it is still top of mind. Like, Rihanna's busy making a beautiful family. Cece's going to be amazing. She's going to come correct. New album. I've heard. Oh God, hold on. What was the song everyone told me about? Everyone's excited to hear her perform. Oh my God, Level Up. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Level Up. There we go. I still listen to Metallica. I was like listening to the same playlist I had in like the 90s.
He's gonna have
it's just from ETL.
Listening to Into the Sandman while everything's going on.
Exactly. No, I'm gonna. I will have a good time.
If you get somebody like Beyonce, Icon Stadium can't be it. Boy, you gonna have to get
be
MetLife Stadium.
I agree. Well, look, give me some goals here, right? We have so LA 28 is going to be a big milestone for our league, right? We should be in a really, really good position going into that Olympics, because that is our time. America is going to be tuned into gymnastics. America's going to be tuned into track and field. They're going to be tuned into gymnastics too. Shout out Simone. But they'll be tuned into track and field. And if we've done our job well, people will already be aware of the storylines in this sport. And they'll already be, everyone sees little previews and we're like, oh yeah, let's get excited for the Olympics. And the casuals are like, oh cool, right? Track and field is a thing. Again, these athletes have such amazing personalities. They're such just tremendous athletes. Like, if we do our job well, we're telling those stories. People are already excited about it. They already know going into it. And then we are the thing they're thinking about when the Olympics leaves town. And they're like, oh, right, I can watch these amazing athletes all the time. I can watch them every year. And I'm part of the reason I'm so compelled by this Formula One style model is it also leans into partners who are very motivated and very incentivized to tell the stories of our athletes in a very high profile way. Because if I tell them, look, y'all could be the Mercedes, you could be the Ferrari, and it's our job to build a league that's, does the best job story. We can be our own Liberty Media. I have no doubt all the strengths of Liberty Media are things that we can do as well or better, especially for the digital age. And telling those stories online, direct consumer, building an amazing app experience. Like, I want you opening our app, not just when our meets are on. I want you opening our app every day. And we have some interesting ways to do that, not just because you'll be able to use it to follow these athletes when they're racing, all over the world, Diamond League, I don't care, Grand Slam, cool. We're going to let you follow them via our app. But there's some other really clever stuff, which I can't announce yet. But I've already given you some hints where this is a really compelling sport because running is so widespread. And like I said, the average NFL fan, he's not playing football very often. But, a fan of Athlos and of our league has a chance to be someone who is engaging with the broadest version of the sport, running, jogging, whatever you want to call it, like all the damn time. And so how do we build that software experience to clock all that together and then put it in some of the biggest, baddest, funnest cities in the world and create this cultural moment? And like I said, I think we're riding on the shoulders or standing on the shoulders of giants because at local levels, I saw in the comments people talking about, I was actually did Texas Relays in Austin, Philly. Like, there is a legacy of excitement and fun and like a cultural event that just for whatever reason hasn't been mainstreamed. And I want us to help bring that to folks. And if we can get Rihanna to show up, that'd be great too. So let me work on 28 would be the year for it, because you're going to have, I think, so much momentum leading up to it. And especially in our league, that'd be a great time to be able to have Riri as a headliner. So look, let her keep making the babies. They're doing a great thing there. God bless them. And, but I hear you on Rihanna, but you wouldn't be mad if it was Beyonce though, right?
I like Rihanna. I wouldn't be mad, but I like Rihanna.
Come on.
Beyonce.
Come on. I can't. No, I can't.
I
The
do.
Queen Bee. I can't go. It's the Queen Bee.
I'm from the Caribbean too, so
Oh, that's that Barbados.
Yeah, so,
Barbados. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I'm a roll with my Caribbean people every time.
Yeah. Touche.
Alexis, you got more question? Got another question?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Alexis, man, we appreciate having you again once again, man. Like, hope we can be able to keep this tradition going and be able to be closer with Athlos as well. Ready, Set, Go is a huge support of what you're doing. We love what you're doing. Obviously, the people in the chat are loving what you're doing. You keep thinking, you keep listening to the people, you keep listening to the athletes, and that's what's making Athlos even better each year, man. So happy to have you on, man. Rod, what you got?
Man, listen, tell us again where we can find Athlos, so anybody who joined our stream late, so we can know.
I mean, if you have a television or an internet connection, you can see Athlos. All right. Now, if you're in New York, Thursday night, you should come to Times Square, 42nd and I forget the cross street, Broadway. So you're not going to be able to miss it. Right in the heart of Times Square. We got the long jump. We got the best long jumpers in the world. Did you realize? I just realized a few months ago that, like, Tara, she will jump the distance of a 3-point shot.
Yeah.
Like, sit with that for a second. Okay. Again, as a casual, right, who's new to this world, as soon as I learned, because most of us have taken a 3-point shot. Think of what it takes just to get the ball in the hoop, shooting a 3-pointer. Now, imagine throwing your own body that far. It's fucking amazing. Oh my God. So we're putting it in Times Square.
I think that's one thing me and Rod have always talked about is the fact of to be able to get other people to join in and be fans of the sport, you have to blow their mind with the fact of Tara can jump the length of a school bus, right? Or Tara can jump the length of a city bus. Or, you know what I mean? These women are running miles per hour. There's a lot of fans out there that don't understand what 10.6 is. But if you say that's 24 miles per hour, almost 25 miles per hour, they will be in awe for that. That's what they want to come see. Women go run 25 miles per hour. That's crazy. I want to see that.
Yes. And I'm telling you, so we'll keep building on this. That's Times Square. If you're around, come by. And then the main event, Friday night, under the lights at Icon. I think tickets might still be available. definitely on third-party sites, although, athlos.com as well. And then if you're not able to make it, we're sorry, you're going to miss an amazing event, and we're going to have content showing you all the things you're missing all over the World Wide Web. But if you want to watch the broadcast, we have everything for you. So Ion stepped up on the television front. And then again, if you've got an internet connection, you can watch it via DAZN, via ESPN Plus, via YouTube, and via X, formerly known as Twitter. Like, you have no excuse. You can watch. We had 3 million people tune in last year. Fun fact, 2.2 million watched Caitlin's debut in the WNBA. 3 million saw Athlos last year. So, and again, we were coming off the Olympic high, so people were fired up for all things track and field, but I think we can do even bigger this year. Counting on y'all. Tell a friend. And again, these are incredible athletes doing incredible things. And again, thanks to CashApp, they're going to get paid right after they cross the finish line. And the winners will get that beautiful Tiffany crown. We even have, actually, we might have announced it. We have a surprise guest who is going to be crowning our athletes this year. And I didn't publish it yet. Anyway, you're going to hear it tomorrow. She's great, though. Might be married to her. She was jealous. Serena was jealous she didn't make it last year. And so she was like, you got to put me on stage. You got to have me giving out the crowns this year. And I was like, all right.
Oh, she going to be there this year?
She won't be there this year.
Oh, that is amazing.
We've got a special star there. And she said, this for her, I think it really clicked that, this is an opportunity to take something that, like I said, every 4 years, those gold medals, those are lauded. I mean, it is, you can see so much in such a short period of time. Like, you got to watch, I mean, even a tennis match is a few hours. The entire storyline of an event in track and field, man, it's a short story. And it's one where you have no choice but to be locked in the entire time. And as a storytelling unit, it is so damn compelling. And I'm very thrilled she was jealous of missing it last year, and so very excited that she'll be here this year. And that's interesting. Yeah, there will be. Okay, so y'all are good in the comments. There's another. We're full of surprise. Like I said, I like milking this stuff because I want, again, under promise, over deliver. I want y'all to be like, damn, Athlos did it again. Damn, they did it again. Damn, again, really? And so there's a couple more things coming between now and then. And so I already give y'all a little alpha there. So yeah, Serena's going to be giving out the crowns. Don't tell anybody, just between us. We're going to announce it probably tomorrow morning. But there's a couple more surprises coming. And that's another really important thing. That's the last thing I'll say is, like, again, I feel so grateful that the community, like the track and field community, has embraced me as an obvious outsider, as a guy who obviously hasn't run a day in his life since varsity football back in high school. And I feel that responsibility. And one of the other things I want to make sure we do at this event this year is also, I don't want to give out too much, but celebrate greatness, and do right by, again, we stand on the shoulders of giants, do right by the giants that help make something like Athlos even possible. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say. There's more to come.
Hey man, I want to say that you are good for the sport. You're great for the sport, because and don't let anybody tell you you're an outsider, because you're making dreams come true, and you're respecting the process. You're respecting the sport. You listen to the fans, you listen to the athletes. And there's a lot of people and a lot of organizations that have come along, have not done that. There's a lot of complaints that we do have with the standing federation that we have now. But you taking the time to listen to what the athletes look and desire, and also delivering it, it's amazing within itself. So you're not an outsider, my man.
All right, well,
it's made a very big leap in our sport, and people are definitely going to be watching. I guarantee Friday and Saturday is going to be a show.
All right. Well, I hope y'all get to turn out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you to the whole Ready, Set, Go audience. Thank you for indulging me. And remember, keep the little secret about Serena safe for like 12 more hours. But seriously, Justin, Rodney, you guys are awesome, and you guys have been day ones as well, and I very much appreciate that. And don't worry, I didn't forget. When Jason gets back to me, we'll have a little conversation on the DraftKings front.
Oh yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, I got you, bro. Don't worry.
We thank you so much for being a part of our show, and everybody being a part of this episode. We'll have clips coming out talking to Alexis Ohanian of Athlos. If you enjoyed this episode, watch more of us later. But until our next episode, we thank you for joining us on Ready, Set, Go!
We out.